We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Share it with your psychiatrist. Share it with your priest. Share it with your significant other. Share this video across all your social media platforms. Come on in. Come on in to the house, to the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a PATC legend in the comments section or with phone calls later on the show at 763-260-1333. Welcome in. Don't be shy. Today is our 1 year anniversary. Our first episode was posted August 10th of 2022. It's August 10th of 2023 today. The Little General and I want to say thank you. Thank you to all those in the PATC community, those who were with us from the beginning and those who are with us today and going forward. We appreciate you all. This was an act of love of college football. We were asked to do this. We were prodded to do this in the last couple of years, a couple of years ago. And we finally decided that we were going to go ahead and do it. We started the show on August 10th, 2022. We had just finished up maybe our third or fourth interview with the Los Angeles Times. We knew the report, the article on how that whole USC story went down, going to the Big Ten. We knew that was coming out August 20th. So for the first 10 days of our show, people kept asking, when are you going to talk about how this USC story developed and why you were a part of it and how you broke it and everything? And I kept saying for the first 10 days of our show, we can't quite talk about it yet. We can't quite talk about it yet until the Los Angeles Times article came out. So we had no idea how this show was going to go. Look, you guys know I'm not the brightest bulb in the refrigerator. I have a very weird accent. I sing. I like to sing. And of course I sing on the show. That wasn't going to go over too well. And it's been okay. But I do share your love of college football. And I hope we've done ourselves a good service by providing you all a peek around the corner, trying to do it in an ethical, professional way while trying to be entertaining enough for you guys all to stick with us. Thank you, Derek Marie. I appreciate your super chat, your generosity to the channel. Jared Jones, thank you so much. Mr. Buckeye, you have been a constant contributor to the show with comments, your donations. I thank you all, my good friend. Thank you so very much. Not your first rodeo. Yes, not your first rodeo. So thank you, Jared Jones. Thank you, Derek Marie, for your just incredible, generous donations already on this show. We had no idea how this was going to go. We thought we'd give it a few months. We were told that this was very difficult. Most YouTube channels, college football YouTube channels, especially when you try to do a national one, they don't do very good. Now, if you're going to do your team, like the team that you love, and you have a big enough fan base, those are a lot doable. Doing a national one, it's not going to work. There's only a few national ones out there, an independent college football YouTube channel that tries to do all of college football, not connected to radio, not having a history of being a broadcaster or a columnist, just a completely independent nobody. It's almost impossible. And we were told that. Well, right away, when we started the show, we were always getting you all, like, you were very active on our show. You know, we had to set up a phone line. You guys have blown us away. I mean, this was not supposed to happen this way. You guys understand that, right? So we have been blown away for a year. That's why I keep putting out episode after episode. We've done 290 episodes. I don't know how many live shows we've done. We've done over 400 combined episodes and live shows. I know that. For our first year, that's ridiculous. And it's because of you all. And how do we thank you? We don't really have a good way of thanking you all. The only thing the little general and I can do is just keep going. Hopefully we improve. Hopefully we become more entertaining. Hopefully we can provide the next peek around the corner. I think we're going to do that today, maybe. And hopefully you stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. We're a completely independent YouTube channel. We do not do memberships. We do not do this other stuff. We just rely on your donations, your smashing of the like button to get the word out. And we appreciate you so very much. This show, our 1-year anniversary show, I am dedicating this show to my father, Gerard Pflugar, 92 years old, as he's hanging in there. So, So this is a dedication to him. And let's get to the show. First of all, like we always do, cloak and dagger. Cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger. Now, the name of the show, whoops, I'm already screwing up. The name of the show, College Football Remains Volatile Going into the Middle of August. Look, ladies and gentlemen, it is volatile out there. I'm going to try to keep up here. Thank you, Coy. Thank you so much for your generosity. Appreciate it. Happy PATC anniversary. Thank you so very much for your generosity. Appreciate it. West Virginia, Jim. West Virginia, thank you so much for your super chat. I do appreciate it. Look, I got a lot to go through in the monologue. I'm already behind. Let's just take a look at this tweet. Let's take a look at this tweet from Dennis Dodd. Sources, California, Stanford to the ACC looks unlikely at this time. Me? Remember, we were a week ago at this moment. It was August 3rd. And we did an episode on August 3rd. Peek around the corner. I'm sure we did a live show as well. But we did an episode, and it said the death blow is coming August 4th for the Pac-12. A week ago, there was so much steam, guys. And we gave you the best peek that we could possibly give you. And then it was really volatile. At August 3rd, the night of August 3rd, going on August 4th, people are still writing stories about it. Was the Pac-12 going to blow up? Oregon and Washington. Now, we told you for a year that Fox Sports wanted Oregon and Washington, if the opportunity arose. They wanted to push the Big Ten, the presidents, to get it done. It looks like there was a little bit of an opportunity there in the morning of August 4th. Fox Sports decided to put out the money. Oregon, Washington jumped on it on a discount. Got the presidents involved. It's done. What's happening Thursday? What's happening Thursday as we head into Friday? I think, look, Dennis Dodd's conclusion, stay tuned. Stay tuned. This thing could go any number of directions. Now, we at Peek Around the Corner take the Stanford, California thing. I think it was Monday. No, it was Tuesday. It was only 2 days ago. We said we're going to give it our best shot, guys. We do not think Stanford, this was Tuesday. Now, yesterday was Wednesday when we had this story breaking that Stanford and California and SMU, ACC presidents were looking at bringing them in. And we said we thought it was unlikely that the ACC was going to be able to expand with California, Stanford. We didn't think they would get the votes. We listed the school names. And it looks like that happened. It looks like ACC won't expand. But I got to tell you, Jim Phillips is going to keep swinging away. I don't know how he's going to get the Florida State vote. I don't know how he's going to get the North Carolina vote. I don't know how he's going to get the Clemson vote. I don't know how he's going to get the Virginia vote. Now, Miami of Florida has been reported as of right now that they did vote for expansion. A lot of people are putting out their takes on that. Why, if true, why did Miami of Florida vote for expansion? Now, if it is true, I don't think it's all that big of I don't think people should read too much into it. Miami, Florida's president didn't go, I don't believe he went to college out there in California, but he has an affinity of the state of California. He is a academics, most presidents are, but he is an academic guy, Harvard guy. The president of Miami, Florida, did some work in serving country of Mexico and the health ministry. I wouldn't read too much into it. I've read, I heard a Florida State YouTube channel talking about how maybe Miami, Florida voted for expansion of California Stanford because they felt they didn't have a landing spot if the ACC should implode. I don't agree with that at all. I believe Miami, Florida does have a landing spot, and it will be in the Big Ten. That's our strongly held opinion. We've been told that. You take that however you want it. So that's not the reason why Miami, Florida voted for expansion if they did so. I think people are reading too much into it. But anyways, go ahead. If you want to speculate on why Miami looks like they voted for expansion, go ahead in the comment section and give us a phone call later. We don't think that it's going to happen with the ACC, but Jim Phillips is going to keep swinging away. We thought the best chance was with the Mountain West and then the AAC. That Stanford and California would have to go somewhere, right? Or become independent. So our first bet was on Mountain West, AAC, independence for Stanford. Which there's some schools out in the AAC that Stanford and California wouldn't mind sharing an athletic conference with. Now that they're at the G5 level, it looks like they're going to be at the G5 level. You got Tulane, you got Rice. So maybe that's the avenue. Maybe the AAC, maybe Mike Oresco can get it done and to bring California and Stanford into the conference that SMU is already in. Or maybe there's some, I don't think this is going to happen, but maybe there's some, maybe the Big Ten, Tony Petitti on the phone, NBC, saying, Notre Dame, you want Stanford in a conference? You want to be conference members with Stanford? We have a solution for you. Come on into the Big Ten. Or maybe the Big Ten president sees Stanford and California out there, and they have the same feelings that Jack Swarbrick is having and Father Jenkins, and says, look, have them come into the Big Ten at a very low discount. We don't think that's going on. We said it wasn't going on over about 10 days ago. It's been cold between the Big Ten and Stanford and California. That's why we reported to you this at the time of before the Oregon and Washington was officially brought into the Big Ten. This is why Stanford and California is spending all this time talking to the ACC, talking to the Mountain West, to the AAC. Because it is cold. The Big Ten is not looking at California, Stanford. But we go back to Dennis Dodd's tweet. And conclusion, stay tuned. It is volatile out there. It is crazy out there. I want to talk about Notre Dame. What was their play? As I bring up the Cloak and Dagger mug, what was Notre Dame's? What were they doing? Pushing for California and Stanford to become members of the ACC. it I can I understand from their point of view why they were doing it, but I just don't see how they could have thought they would ever be successful at this. Of course, the question is going to be to Notre Dame from other ACC schools, institutions. Why don't you join us as a full-time member? Why don't you make us more valuable so we can make you more valuable, Notre Dame? Why don't you join us? Why do you think we are beneath your independent status? Why are you pushing for football expansion in the ACC when you can't, when you are not willing to join us? I don't think Florida State's going to play this. I think it hurt. Look, I think it hurt California Stanford's ability to get in the ACC once Notre Dame started pushing it. That's where, the relationships are not good in the ACC. I put out a tweet yesterday. I think we're seeing the fracture widening in the ACC in real time during this soap opera. Notre Dame, man, if you bring in a California Stanford, Notre Dame's 5 scheduling with ACC programs, football opponents, 5 per season. That's not going to go away. So now these ACC schools are going to be playing Notre Dame even less for the next 13 years. Why would the top brand ACC schools ever want to expand to do this with Notre Dame pushing it? They won't. We said that a couple days ago. We're going to stick to it. It doesn't look like it's happening. I understand why Jim Phillips is swinging away at it. What other choice does he have? Maybe if this gets completely shut down, no ACC expansion, and then if Florida State does what we think they're going to be doing here in the next 5 days, then Jim Phillips can bring this up as an example of Florida State not willing to elevate the entire conference by shutting down this expansion. Tom Osborne, thank you for your super chat. Notre Dame, do as I say, not as I do. Overrated leprechaun. Wow. Tom Osborne coming in with the elbow, the legendary coach of Nebraska Cornhuskers. And then we have, thank you for your super chat, Mr. Osborne, appreciate it. We have the Washington State Board meeting. Board of Regents, notice a special meeting. This is tomorrow, August 11th, Washington State. The meeting agenda is simply call to order, roll call, executive session. To discuss with counsel, present pending or potential litigation. I'm going to put my money on it that it has to do with discussing conference affiliation. At some point, Washington State and Oregon State. First of all, there it is, August 11th. Notice a special meeting, Board of Regents. First of all, we all feel bad, terrible about Washington State and Oregon State. But what makes it even worse, it seems like they have to wait for California and Stanford, that domino to fall before they can act. Quite honestly, the Mountain West Conference is waiting to see on California and Stanford. The heavy chalk is that Oregon State and Washington State end up in the Mountain West Conference. And if they come up with a new name, that's fine, but they're not going to be autonomous 5. I would let that Pac-12, I would let the Pac name go. If you want to rename the Mountain West, good, go for it. Maybe that helps the branding, make it more whatever. valuable. But I wouldn't name it the Pac anything. And you're not going to be an autonomous 5 conference, so it's just easier for Washington State and Oregon State to get incorporated into the Mountain West, and then if you want to change your name, go ahead. And those are going to be 2 great additions for the Mountain West. But my goodness, it almost seems like they have to wait for California and Stanford. And hopefully, I know the Stanford, somebody in Stanford's leadership, I can't remember who it was, said something to the effect of, we're hoping we resolve our issue of where we're going to be at Stanford by the end of the week. It's Thursday. So hopefully this wraps up. Keep your head on a swivel. Keep your head on a swivel during this show. Put down in the chat if something should pop. And I do have one intel I want to share. Jay Perlmutter. Thank you so much, Mr. Bruin. Happy first PATC anniversary, Greg and Maria Hernandez Garcia Flugar. I've been here from almost the beginning. You're both a very special people. I appreciate all you do to keep the PATC community engaging and well informed. Thank you, Mr. Bruin. Thank you, Jay, for your generosity. I appreciate it so very much. Thank you. One little bit of intel I want to drop on you guys. First of all, let me thank everybody for coming in on this show today. Then we're going to get to the intel. I haven't thanked anybody for coming on in. That is my bad. Baylor Patrick, thank you for coming on in. I've been following since last year. Skull Ducky, thank you so much. Randy Taylor, John Bennett running into the PATC Theater with my head on a swivel. Thank you, John Bennett. Susan Murray watching from Duluth, Minnesota. Thank you, Jim Bagley, for your super chat. Appreciate it. Appreciate your generosity to this channel, helping us keep the lights on. Thank you so very much. Happy 1-year anniversary. Our web, holy smokes. Jay Perlmutter, once again. Sean, happy anniversary. Greg, thank you so very much. MP, go Cougs. Hello, everyone. Go Florida State. My intel is on Florida State. You might want to stick around here, Derek Marie. After I thank everybody for coming on in, Derek, you might want to stick around. Greetings to Greg and the Little General by MP Skull Ducky. Crazy to think it's been such a crazy year. And think about this, Skull Ducky. Next year's going to be just nuts, right? With all these changes, Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC. The Four Corner Schools going to the Big 12, joining the 4 newcomers that are coming in this year. Baylor, Houston, Cincinnati, and University of Central Florida. And then, of course, you got the Big 10 next year. Oregon, Washington, UCLA, USC. And then we got the 2024 playoff format. What is it going to look like? Oh, we got to talk about that. But let me get to everybody here. Buckshot Kid, head is still on a swivel. Thank you, Buckshot Kid. Thank you, Larry. John Blackshear, congrats on the 1. Scooping them all. Sky you all. Go Gophers. Never rowing anything. Thank you, John Blackshear Sr., for your generosity. Appreciate it. Matt Neeson. Hello, buckle up, brace for impact. Jonathan Weaver, best part of the workday. Thank you, Mr. Weaver. I appreciate that. Coog Truth is in the room. Coog Truth is in the room. MP, congratulations. You are looking live at the intersection of Keith Jackson Way and Kurt Gowdy Avenue on the beautiful PATC Stadium, where the ACC faces off against the Big Ten and the SEC. Thank you, 315. Appreciate that comment. Very, very, very creative comment. Grateful Trojans in the house. You're the best in the biz. Thank you, Mr. Trojan. Appreciate it. D5 Terps. Godfather's King, thank you, Mr. Buckeye. And again, thank you for your generous donation. Tuffy Duffy, 1 year anniversary, thank you. To Master, BTM. Monovision, I was there. Sean, people still doubt you, Greg. Keep knocking them down and proving them wrong. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate the comments. Holy smokes. Clinton Moses, Shooter, Texas. Good for you for being corrected so many realignment points. I must admit I was wrong on Washington, Oregon. I didn't think the Big Ten would offer so little or that they would take such a low offer. John Peterson, Greg Pflugar equals integrity, effective reporting. I'm from Minnesota too, Ashby, just north of Alexandria. Is that rock? Is that rock at the Alexandria City Hall? Did that come from the Vikings? Yes or no, John Peterson? Did that truly, that rock that was found in a farm in Alexandria, that rock that was found in a farm in Alexandria, Minnesota, that has some Viking Nordic language, did that truly come from the Vikings? Yes or no, John Peterson? As a fellow Minnesotan, you have a thicker Minnesota. Yeah, don't you know? Yes, I do, mid-camp. Yes, I do. Very thick accent. Very thick accent. You got this, Greg. Thank you, MP. Appreciate it. Washington State, we covered that. Thank you, Movie Time Blues. Thank you, Godfather Josie. I got a bunch of super chats. I have failed to... Thank you, Kay Struthers. Happy first PATC anniversary. Sparty Nation is in the house. Michigan State. Tom Fornelli, CBS Sports, put down Michigan State as one of the top 5 teams that could cause chaos here in the 2023 season when it comes to the college football playoffs. They could upset somebody. Interesting article. Thank you for Sparty for coming on in. Larry Keith, Texas Tech Red Raider. Thanks for a full year of amazing content and discussion. Can't wait to see what the next year brings us. Thank you, Larry. Appreciate so much the super chat for your generosity. Thank you so much. Richard L. Congratulations, Greg. Looking forward to what is ahead. A lot is ahead. A lot is ahead. Holy smokes. I think I got all to the super chats. Thank you so much for the donations, the generosity. Okay, what time is it? 12:05 p.m. Thursday. Let me check something real quick. Here. Got to keep your head on a swivel. We got tipped off on something. Okay. We got tipped off on something. Florida State, the Board of Trustees, the website, you want to keep checking that today. Today going into tomorrow. We think something is going to pop. Some special notice meeting is going to pop on the Florida State's Board of Trustees. We got the info yesterday. We didn't do a live show yesterday. It's not something I wanted to put out on an episode. So, and the fact that is when we were told that it was happening either Thursday or Friday this week, now would be a good time to say it. So I wanted to check to make sure nothing had popped yet. And it hasn't. If you check it, there's nothing there. So keep your head on a swivel. Now, does that mean Florida State's going to file a notice of withdrawal before August 15th? What's the meeting about? We can't confirm any of that, but we were tipped off that something is going to pop on that website. So keep your head on a swivel. Keep checking it today and tomorrow. It won't be a meeting for today. It won't be a meeting for tomorrow. You guys understand that? But there's going to be a listing of a future meeting popping up today or tomorrow. We think it's today. We got tipped off on it. And we wouldn't be putting it out there if we didn't have reasons to believe it was real solid. Okay? So that's that part that we wanted to talk about. Jerry Jones, Florida State, the SEC. Florida State and Clemson to the SEC with ESPN's blessing. Fake Tom Osborne. I'm fake now, Greg. Anyway, really enjoy the show. Keep up the good work. Looking forward to Nebraska, Minnesota in a couple weeks. I figured you were fake Tom, but I appreciate you put it in the word fake Tom Osborne. I'm looking forward to that game as well. We're going to be doing a watch party. We're going to be covering that game in real time. You'll be watching the game at your TV or however you watch the game. I'll be watching it here in the studio. I got a TV above here doing a watch party. We did that all last year. It's a lot of fun. Thanks for the heads up. You bet Gold Knowles, FSU. Richard Salino, hello, Greg. Hello to you as well. So, look, in regards to okay, I guess, hold on a second. Hold on, everybody. Give me a moment. Okay, let's get back in here. Okay. Thank you, Black Outfit TV. Appreciate it. Congratulations, Greg, and happy anniversary from Omega Supreme. Uh-oh, what's this?
Call from Little General.
Uh-oh, what is this? Who is on the line in the 1 year anniversary of the PATC show? Who is this?
This is the Little General. Speak around the corner.
Okay. I don't know if anyone wants to hear you sing, honey. Okay, all right.
Happy anniversary, honey.
Yeah, thank you, honey.
Everyone for all the support. I love you, and I know I'm so happy because with everything is happening, I know you're working so hard. You know you are my best friend, and thank you everyone for all the support, the funny calls, everything. I love everyone. Thank you so much. Love you, baby.
Thank you, honey. Thanks for calling in. Please call again sometime when you have a good, solid college football take, okay?
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, hon. All right. That was a Little General. Holy smokes. A surprise call. Shooter, Texas. Upset alert. Baylor beats Utah. Sick'em Bears. Holy smokes. You know what? Before we get to the phone calls, thank you, Shooter Tex, for that super chat, for your generosity. That you bringing up Baylor beats Utah. Well, guess what? First year anniversary, August 10th. This is a little bit too early for me to do this. Yeah, it was a great call. Thank you, Jared Jones. Perfecto. Okay. Look, last year, in our first year, I got the nickname Greg the Cooler because my picks against the spread went absolutely pear-shaped last year. We're not going to talk about my winning percentage because it barely registered. We're not going to talk about it. But you, the PATC community, gave me the nickname Greg the Cooler. This year I am determined to change that around and become Greg the Heater for 2023. In fact, I'm so determined. I am so fired up. I've already made my first 3 picks against the spread for week 0. Let's take a look at them. Mark these down. These are the first 3 official plays, and we're going to be keeping track of my winning percentage this year. And baby, it's going to be 60%. It's going to be 60%. That's basically what you need to be a winner in Vegas. 58, 59, 60%. So these are my first Greg the Fridge. Not anymore, David Klein. Not anymore. Let's go. Let's go. First 3 plays, week 0. Of course, it's a little early. Week 0, this is August 26 games. I don't even know. Somebody might get injured. Somebody might get injured in these 3. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is the first year anniversary. So let's go. Let's go. Greg the Furnace set on high. You better believe it, too, Master. You better believe it. Here we go. Week 0. Florida International, Louisiana Tech. Well, you might say, Greg, you are crazy. You are crazy to do a week 0 game and to take this game. You have absolutely lost it. Well, I don't think so, my friends. I don't think so at all. I think I'm going to nail this. Louisiana Tech, we've talked about this. Hank Bachmeier, quarterback, Boise State, started 29 games. He's good, man. He's got a high skill level. He's looking at being drafted or being a free agent in the NFL next year. He had to go somewhere. Louisiana Tech was the perfect spot. He's got some real skill, guys. You guys know that out there in the Mountain West area. You know it. Hank Bachmeier, he was a big-time recruit for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. He had family who lives in the state of Minnesota. P.J. Fleck went after him. Hank Bachmeier visited Minnesota. He didn't like it. So he became Boise State's big target and their quarterback. But it's not just about Hank Bachmeier. They got Smoke Harris, the wide receiver. About 136 catches over the last 2 years. So Bachmeier's got a go-to guy. They got Crosby, the running back. But they got Craig the Squirrel Williams. You guys know him from Baylor. You guys know him. Florida International, terrible offense. Can they get a little bit better this year? Maybe. So Louisiana Tech, now their defensive line was one of the worst, probably the worst of all FBS colleges. They brought in 11 transfers on defense. But in this first game against the struggling FIU's offense, Louisiana Tech's going to score enough points to cover the spread. Take Louisiana Tech -10. That is the first play, the official play of PATC, Louisiana Tech -10. UMass, New Mexico State. Holy smokes. The job that Jerry Kill done at New Mexico State. Now, New Mexico State is joining the Conference USA, right? Along with Louisiana Tech, or they're in the same conference with Louisiana Tech. New Mexico State got into a conference. Jerry Kill, they went 7-6 last year. The Aggies made their second bowl game since 1960. They got the quarterback coming back. Their defense was 30th overall. Scooter Tech says Squirrel is now coaching at old high school in Texas. Holy smokes. You mean he left the program? Get it that confirmed. It's not going to change my pick. He's not going to be the starting running back anyways. He did transfer at some point. Let me know, Scooter, Texas. Anyways, New Mexico State, UMass. Now UMass. I can't pronounce the guy's name. The quarterback, the highly recruited quarterback coming from Clemson. Tyson Pumachow is the best way I can say it. UMass offense was dreadful. New Mexico State, you'd think I would take the -7.5, but I'm not going to. Jerry Kill, I know his coaching. I know what he does. His teams start out slow. We're going to take the under 42.5. 42.5 under is the play. That's our second official play here at Peek Around the Corner 2023. And our last pick for week 0, we're just going to take 3 games. Normally we take 8 games. The Great 8, I call it, for weekly plays throughout the season. But week 0 is, not many games. Navy versus Notre Dame, Dublin, Ireland, and of course we're taking the Irish -20.5. Now Navy, they're bringing in a new coach, Brian Newberry, pretty good defensive coordinator the last 4 years. Done a good job. But Notre Dame, my goodness. Sam Hartman, you guys know how much I love Sam Hartman. The best transfer quarterback in the portal last year. Joe Alt, the great tackle. It's going to be a first-round pick next year. Joe Alt is from Minnesota. In fact, he played on the Totino Grace high school team. Blake Fisher, the other great tackle. Benjamin Morrison, cornerback. Tremendous. Notre Dame is going to be dangerous this year. I don't think they're going to make the college football playoffs. If it was a 12-teamer this year, I would have Notre Dame as predicted to get into the college football playoffs. No question about it. I think they're going to come up short this year. But Marcus Freeman, second year. Tommy Rees, no longer the offensive coordinator, which I think is a plus. And the great Sam Hartman coming on in. Notre Dame on the stage, Dublin, Ireland, with all due respect to Navy, and we all respect Navy, Notre Dame blows out the midshipmen, given 20.5 points. Those are 3 plays. Louisiana Tech -10, Notre Dame -20.5, and under 42.5, New Mexico State and UMass. Those are the plays. Those are the 3 plays. Now we're going to go 3-0, 2-1 at the worst. 2-1 at the worst, which is a 66.6% winning percentage. Okay, now let's get to your comments. Nothing graceful about Totino Grace. I got a cousin who was a coach there, baseball, football coach. He used to be the head coach of St. Thomas, which is now the FCS team. Don Roney, he's my cousin. So if you know who Don Roney is, legendary football player here in Minnesota, legendary baseball player at Minnesota, coach at St. Thomas. He's been helping out at Totino Grace for years and years and years. So we knew Joe Alt. Minnesota tried to get him, had no chance. Joe Alt went to Notre Dame, and he is a super. He went to Notre Dame as a 3-star, ladies and gentlemen. He might have been 4-star at the very end of his recruiting, but he was a monster from day one. The recruiting, 247, Rivals, ESPN, they were behind on that. Joe Alt was going to be an incredible player. For those who've watched him in high school football, we knew he was going to be sensational, and he is with Notre Dame. Okay, Greg the thermonuclear bomb, Greg the boiler, Greg the snowman. Oh, you guys are all over the place. Hot take, West Virginia makes a bowl this year. Big Lubbock. Holy smokes. Surprise afternoon show. Thanks for coming on in, everybody. Big Ten Ted, I like watching your show. Keep up the good job. I didn't know Big Ted Ted was in the chat room. I missed it. I enjoyed being on the show. Hopefully he'll let me on again. Hopefully he will let me on again. Daniel Montecastle, Mr. Hoosier's in the house. Sweet. Curtis Brown, great call. The Little General calls in. Happy anniversary, Little General PATC. Appreciate it. Dan Kreitzer, bet the opposite of Greg to make bank. Holy smokes. Okay, we'll get to your phone calls right now. The phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. Talk about anything college football. Talk about my plays. What would your plays be in week 0? Talk about Florida State. Are they going to pull the trigger here in the next 5 days? What is your best memory of Peek Around the Corner in the first year of our existence? Talk about anything you want to do, college football. Thanks for coming on in. This is our first 1-year anniversary show, and we appreciate all of you for coming on in. Big Ten things coming up in Eugene 2024. Big Ten Ted is all fired up. He is all fired up. I'm all fired up. August 31st, Nebraska and Minnesota. Jeff Sims versus the so-called 67th ranked out of 69 FBS quarterbacks, Athan Kaliak Manis, the Greek rifle, ranked 67 out of 69. Coming from 247 Sports. I am still upset about that. Greg, the Jim Cramer of football picks. I know that's not a compliment. I know that is not a compliment. PATC is all over me. That's why it's so important. It's so important for me to turn this around. Greg the Iceberg. Look at all this. Look at all this. This is why I need to win. I need to win. I need to win this year against the spread. Right now. I got to put this song up here. This is it, baby. I'm going 3-0 week 0. Louisiana Tech -10. Lock. New Mexico State under 42.5. Lock. Notre Dame Fighting Irish -20.5. I'm giving all those points. Lock. This is the year. Greg the Heater. I'm throwing off the Albatross. I'm throwing off Greg the Cooler. No more jokes in the chat room. You won't be able to tell the jokes in the chat room. I'm cleaning house. I'm studying. I've got all the magazines. I've got all the calculators. I've got all the stats. And I've got it all right up here. No more bias. No more going on teams that I love and going against teams I hate. Complete professionalism all during the season. I'm not going to have the Gophers going 12-0 against the spread this year. No way. This is serious. Greg the Cooler's gone. Greg the Heater is here to stay. If Greg starts 0-3, I'd laugh and cry at the same time. Thank you, TH3. Appreciate it. Phone calls are open. 763-260-1333. Let me just check something real. Oh, God. David Klein, do you feel that chill? That chill in the air. I don't have the Gophers going 12-0. this is serious. I've got them going 11-1 against the spread. I said against the spread. Okay, let me just check a few things here. I'm keeping an eye on a few items. Mini will cover versus Ohio State. The dramatic music. Did Greg just get news? No, but I'm waiting for some news. Waiting for some news. No question about it. Kaizo. Greg, on the lighter side, do you prefer the M or the Gopher logo on the Minnesota helmet? I do not. I prefer the M on the golden chrome helmet of Minnesota. I don't especially enjoy watching chrome helmets when teams put on their chrome helmets. But for the Gophers, it works. The golden chrome golden chrome helmet with the big M on it, the maroon M, that works best for me. If not that, then just go with the maroon helmet. I'm not a big gold guy. The less gold on the uniform, the better, except for the golden, shiny chrome helmet. That's why I like. I like all maroon or all white with gold lettering or all maroon with the chrome helmet. I think I'm in the minority. Once in a while, the logo, the Gopher on the logo, that's fine. The big face, that's fine. But I'd rather the Gophers go with the chrome more often than not. But that's not how it works. They go with the chrome maybe twice a year. Gold is the best, Greg, especially gold leaf. Greg, I'm looking forward to playing Minnesota. Yep, I'm looking forward to playing the Washington Huskies. Buckle up. Bow down to Washington. We're not bowing down to Washington, I tell you that. Mireya Flugar, or anybody else for that matter, Mireya Flugar. Fajitas, margaritas, guacamole, fiesta. You're making everybody hungry. Mid-camp 21. Necromancer Pinball. Hit that like button if you like another year of PATC. Thank you for the reminder. Jeff Morgan says they will versus the West Division. I'm not sure what that is. For some reason, I'm getting a call, but it's not registering here. Hold on 1 second. The call did not come through for some reason. Let me take another look at this.
Call from
Immaculate.
Immaculate. Did you just try to call a little bit ago?
Yeah, that was me. I was just
Okay. I don't know what happened.
Go through.
That happens once in a while. A call comes and I can't, for whatever reason, it doesn't register. Immaculate, what's going on, sir? What's happening?
Oh, shoot. I thought I'd call and at least say a happy anniversary to you, right?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
That's a year. That's a big one right there to make it through that long.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot of work, I tell you. It's a lot of work.
I bet.
Yeah,
I don't even know what to talk about. Like, realignment has just gotten so weird with the
yeah.
whole Stanford and California and SMU, and we
Notre
don't need
Dame.
you to pay us to come there,
Yeah.
which I thought was the whole reason for going there. And what do you make of that? Like the SMU thing. Do you think that was ever real, or was it just them once again trying to get more attention?
No, I think SMU is real. I think that's real. I think they're trying to do all they can to get over the wall, and I think they got some donors willing to pay it. It reminds me. It reminds me of what Florida State is looking at doing, betting on themselves, right?
Yep.
Owing money for the future, but making sure they're in a better spot years down the road. Yeah, I think it was real. I'm a little taken. I understand why Notre Dame did it, but man, it doesn't. I tell you what, whatever the ACC unity was before this, it's less now, right? I mean, this just shows that conference.
I think we're getting a view at it that this is actually how it's been. There was a tweet out showcasing a comment by a former AD of North Carolina who was talking about the situation when Louisville was invited and how most of the schools wanted UConn, but they went with Louisville because of Florida State and Clemson wanting them. I mean, this division kind of seems to play through the years, and the situation now with everyone paying attention with social network just kind of brings it to the forefront. But it just kind of seems like this is what the ACC has been all along. So
yeah,
I tend to think that Florida State's had this building for much longer than any of us realize.
Yes, yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I think it's more serious than I think some people want to admit that it is.
Sure. But it is interesting that people they don't want to look at the potential of this being real with Florida State. But when SMU comes out with this, I'll call it absurdity, but real. When they come out with this, no one's questioning the veracity of that. Like, is this real? Are they actually doing this? No questioning it at all. Yeah.
SMU is looking to go, the donors or wherever this money's coming from, they're looking to go down about $150 million, right? To get conference revenues, to get a full slice of ACC revenues in the year 2030 or 2029, correct? They're willing to go down to $150 million. So why is it so crazy to think, well, it is crazy, but why would people believe that and not Florida State, where they're willing to go down $600 million in the hole, $700 million in the hole, to be able to become an SEC member or a Big Ten member, and they're going to be bringing in a whole lot more money than they're doing now, and then in the long term, they think they're going to come out ahead, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could do the math, and it even comes out, I think that the math is better for FSUs than it is for SMUs in terms of investment to payout ratio for these numbers. I think it's actually in FSU's favor because what they get in the ACC, especially if it's depleted by the loss of a Florida State, Clemson, maybe some others, how much more is the payout going to actually be there than in the AAC? They're paying for visibility. They're paying for a network. They're paying to just be seen as a bigger program because that means a lot to them. I would say that the FSU investment is a better investment.
Yeah, I think so too. As crazy as that sounds, I agree, and I think we're going to hear from Florida State real soon. Whether that is handing in the withdrawal notice here by August 15th or not, I think we're going to hear something from them real soon. I got tipped off on something, so yeah.
I do too. I think some people are starting to lose hope on it or whatever, but we're really only just a week away from that meeting, so we'll see.
And then Pete Thamel. I love Pete Thamel. He's awesome, right? But
which comment talking?
What? He made a comment. I think it was yesterday, and I grimaced at it because it was like, well, first of all, Cyclone Derek Cho 65. Thank you so much for your super chat. Thank you for your generosity. I know the gambling situation will hurt Iowa State and Iowa. Do you think players from other teams are in danger of playing? I doubt the gambling situation is only in one state. Hope this season isn't tainted. Yeah, it's not in one state. It's not about just two teams. I think we're going to have a gambling situation that's pretty widespread. They just have to be uncovered, and hopefully these student athletes learn that they can't be doing that stuff. I know one state we're probably not going to have a problem in is the state of Minnesota, because the idiots in the legislature have not agreed to open up gambling. Anyways, I'm not going to go down that road. We don't talk politics here, but we're not going to have that situation probably in Minnesota like other places, but it won't be just about Iowa State. Getting back to Pete Thamel. Thank you for your super chat, Cyclone. Appreciate it very much. Pete Thamel says, Immaculate, Pete Thamel says, how did he put it? He says, there are two reasons why sentiment in the ACC is starting to grow that Florida State will not do anything here in the next few days. And one of the reasons Pete Thamel says is because they have no landing spot. And I grimace. I heard him say this before. I've heard other people say this before. Florida State, now I have reported here, peek around the corner, that the Big Ten will not go into any deep talks with Florida State until they untangle themselves legally from the ACC grant of rights. But that's not the same thing as saying Florida State's not going to do this because they don't have a landing spot. They have a landing spot. The landing spot is, if they get themselves cleared, it's going to be in the SEC of the Big Ten. I don't understand why, and it's not just Pete Thamel, Immaculate. Other people are saying the same thing. They don't have a landing spot. Of course they would have a landing spot. Give me your thoughts.
Well, at the Pete Thamel one, I don't want to say it's completely obvious, but I would tend to go down the road of, well, we know where his bread is buttered. We know whose shows he goes on, what network he goes on. Of course, from that perspective, they want to see FSU either stay where they are right now or go to the SEC. I tend to think the moment that they are able to pay out of the situation and be free, it turns into a Big Ten versus SEC. What are you going to give us for coming to your conference type of situation? And if they're willing to pay $500 million plus in order to get out, I think they deserve that. They deserve to be courted. They deserve to see which conference is maybe going to help them out with that problem, maybe help them out with financing or paying off the financing, because the Big Ten helped out Maryland and Rutgers. So why wouldn't they help out FSU? Why wouldn't the SEC do the same to make sure the FSU goes to Big Ten? So I don't think it's a problem. I just think right now we're getting some of this media stuff is almost political in nature, not like, national politics type politics, but who's your conference with? What's your network say? Those type of politics.
I do agree, though, unless, if somebody can, I'm open to having my mind changed on this, but I do agree with the premise that the ACC, at least at first, doesn't have to accept the Florida State's check. They don't have to accept it. Now, maybe a court will make them accept it. Maybe Florida State says, but if Florida State goes up to the ACC and says, here's $600 million, I don't believe the ACC has to accept it. I think they can turn it down.
Yeah, there's probably not like a defined number that those rights are worth.
I don't think there's a defined number. I don't think there's a defined number on the damages. I think that's all has to get settled. And I don't think it's defined that the ACC has to accept any figure, which makes it difficult for Florida State. I do think, though, that once ACC denies, maybe Florida State would then take the ACC to the courts or something. But I don't think the ACC has to accept the check.
Yeah, and that could create problems for FSU in terms of scheduling. If they say that they're leaving, the ACC, I don't know if the others would vote them out then at that point in time, and they wouldn't have any games this season, if they would be allowed to stay in, if there would be an injunction keeping the ACC from booing them just because of this, if there's a question, if it goes court, if there's proceedings filed. That's where it gets murky, and that's probably what their lawyers have been working on, just trying to work out all the potential scenarios and unintended consequences of taking that step. But
now, can I ask you one question about Iowa?
Yeah.
So
I pause because I know it's coming from a Gopher.
Well, no, I mean this is a Gopher that has Iowa winning the Big Ten West in my predictions.
All right.
Which you should be scared about. But anyways, so what is it going to take? I mean, what is it going to take for Iowa to win what is the one thing that you are most worried about going in the season? And then what is the one thing that you can hang your hat on? Like say, okay, anytime I get a little bit of anxiety thinking about this year, what is my go-to? What am I thinking about to help me get through the days, to get through the nights, to say, yes, Iowa is going to win the Big Ten West? One thing that worries you the most, one thing that you can hang your hat on the most.
Well, you kind of changed my answer with some of the add-ons to that. But initially I was going to say I could answer the two questions with one same answer, and that's the 25-point situation on the contract, because if we get it, I think we win the division.
Yeah.
We don't get it, Brian Ferentz is gone. So it's like a win-win. So there's not a whole lot of stress there on that.
Yeah.
But we do want to be the last Western Division champion ever. So I'd say what makes me feel good about that is the fact that we actually do have a real quarterback there. Now, he's maybe not the most mobile quarterback, but that's not really what Iowa needs. They're a dink and dunk type of offense that, can play that way. We just didn't have a quarterback that could even dink and dunk. So I think that they got the perfect guy behind, and they've brought in some new weapons for him. So the real weakness of the team last year is gone. The offensive line is better. I feel pretty good about them. I think people are underselling them for this year.
Yeah, I undersold Iowa early, but now I'm on their bandwagon. I think they take the West, especially when I look at everybody else in the division, what they're up against. So, Iowa versus Penn State, Big Ten championship game. I'm guessing you have Iowa versus Michigan?
Yes, I have Iowa versus Michigan. I do have Iowa losing to Penn State in the first conference season game.
Yes.
At Penn State, that's going to be tough. They are a great team, and Iowa, with the new quarterback, they're going to have to work up to that. But after that, they've got a nice sloping schedule that works them right up to the end. So I think after the Penn State hiccup, they get it together.
Got it.
And maybe it's against Penn State again, and they can get some redemption. But I personally would love to see Cade get to go against Michigan in that game. I think that would be a story that would be all over the place.
All right, so when are you on next with Nathan Brown and all that?
Well, tonight is the big interview.
That's right, Bob Thompson. Bob Thompson, Fox Sports, former Fox Sports president.
Yeah, kind of excited for that one. That's going to be a big one tonight. We're doing that. I know I might be slipping on with some of the FSU guys here before that for a little bit. With what you're talking about and what we're seeing, I'm I'm kind of hoping something pops off right before that, or at least comes up like a meeting announcement. So we might talk with those guys about that if it happens. If not, just to kind of get their mindset on what's going on and how FSU people are right now. I know everyone else is kind of wondering about this. I can only imagine that Noles fans right now are really kind of nervous or just full of energy about what's going on behind the scenes. So those two shows today.
All righty. Thank you, Immaculate.
Happy anniversary. Just wanted to call in and say that, and get off here, get the next callers in, and hope you have a good day.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. Awesome. That was Immaculate, Mr. Hawkeye Shooter, Texas. Greg, do you agree with my week 2 upset pick, Baylor over Utah and Waco? I don't know. How about that for an answer? I want to see Cameron Rising playing week 1. Did they play Florida, correct? Utah, Florida, week 1? I got to see what Cameron Rising, I got to see what his health is. Baylor, I have one of my top 5 sleeper picks. I got them coming in 5th or 6th in the Big 12. I think it was 5th, but I got them as number 5 or 4 I think I got Kentucky as my top. Baylor, I think I got as the 3rd top sleeper pick. I think Baylor is on the cusp of having a really good season. So I'm with you, Shooter Texas. I'm with you in spirit. But that's week 2, and I got to see what the health of Cameron Rising is for the Utah quarterback. I think Blake Shapen is going to come back this year to have a good year for the Baylor Bears. I think their defense has to be better than it was last year. I do not know what happened to Dave Arana's defense last year. They got a new defensive coordinator this year, so hopefully that helps. I can't go against you or with you, Shooter Texas, until I see Mr. Rising play. Yeah, I saw that. I didn't know. I thought Squirrel Williams transferred. I remember putting tweets out saying, Squirrel Williams with Hank Bachmeier, holy, Louisiana Tech's going to contend for the Conference USA. So I believe what I was reading here from Athlon Magazine, Squirrel Williams was a backup running back listed. That's not going to change my pick. Louisiana Tech going to cover. First pick of the year, Hank Bachmeier. Smoke Harris, the great wide receiver. We'll see what happens. West Virginia, Penn State. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to have Penn State. I love my Mountaineers. But you guys know Penn State is going to be... They're going to send a message week 1. NBC at night, prime time. If West Virginia stays close in that game, that's a good sign for the Mountaineers.
Call from
Crab Cakes and Football.
Crab Cakes and Football. Mr. Terrapin, the floor is yours, sir.
Hey, I just wanted to call you up and say congratulations on 1 year. I've been listening to your show for about 6 or 8 months now. Glad I found it.
Appreciate it.
I've tried to call in, tried to just add to, everything else and have fun because you're actually entertaining. You know what you're talking about, and you're not afraid to say you take an L whenever you get something wrong. And it's very hard to find people to do that this day and age. So I really respect you for that.
Thank you,
now this ACC mess.
Yes, sir.
Remember the other day I called up and said, why doesn't Notre Dame just go ahead and join? And remember me asking that question?
Yeah.
Well, now FSU just told them, if you want us to stay, why don't you go ahead and join? And they still didn't do it.
Yeah.
So, and just before I get off, I just, everybody always talks about the money, but I wanted to remind everybody how important money is in this whole entire thing. Because $30 million, $40 million to an individual like us is a lot, but to a school doesn't seem like a lot, but it really is. Yeah. Maryland had the worst endowment, didn't have an indoor practice facility, the worst video board, the worst sound system. They didn't have a practice facility for anything, for basketball or lacrosse or none of that. And they've got all of that now since they've joined the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And now eventually they'll get around to a new stadium, I hope.
Yeah.
But I mean, so this money that seems like it's falling behind, we caught up quickly to something that I didn't think we would ever catch up to. Joining the Big Ten has just flipped the script. So when everybody talks about FSU falling behind or needs to catch up or this, that is real as real can get. Maryland has lived it. And so, I just wanted to throw that out there because we've actually been through that. So that is one of those things. But how do you think you're
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I mean, do you know when they're going to come out with the new schedules yet?
No, I don't. I can't imagine. I think it's probably going to take a while for the 2024.
Yeah, because I'm hoping there's a day where the Minnesota Golden Gophers and the Maryland Terrapins play in the national conference championship. I would love that. Just because we've had a couple of good games. Y'all blew us out last time, but the game before that we had a pretty good game. So I would love that just one time.
We've played each other quite a bit here in the last 6-7 years. Maryland,
So
it's gone back and forth, back and forth. I don't think. Minnesota and Maryland in the championship game.
Yeah, I say it's possible.
I don't know about that.
Maybe
but,
not this year, but I say it's possible.
We'll see. Going back to your previous statement, the money advantage that Maryland has had over like a Virginia and a North Carolina, you can see it, right? In the facilities and all that stuff. It's also, I think the ACC also has to worry a little bit about their exposure. Even though ESPN has all their content, think about Florida State. Think about Miami of Florida. Think about North Carolina. Think about Clemson. SEC just paid. Not just paid. It's gonna be starting 2024. That new Tier 1 contract that ESPN gave to SEC, over $300 million just for their Tier 1, 12, 13 football games, a handful of basketball game, and one extra game on ESPN Plus. But basically for the Tier 1, over $300 million. The Tier 1 games going from CBS to ESPN. That means that ACC, starting 2024, their exposure is going to go down just a little bit more, even within ESPN, because ESPN, they're paying all this cash to SEC. Again, ESPN is going to be the number one player on ESPN. So that's also has got people in ACC all fired up.
And, so I just wanted to congratulate you on your 1-year anniversary of this channel. I love the channel. I like calling in. I like all the callers.
Appreciate it.
Can't wait to go out Washington and play them. Can't wait to go to Oregon and play them, especially, and all these others. But all right, man. Well, enjoy your day and have a good one.
Appreciate Mr. Terrapin. Might have some breaking news here.
Call from
Monavision.
Monavision. Hold on a second. Can you hold on a second?
Yes, sir.
I got a breaking news here. It looks like Yeah, it's being reported here. Now, I'm just going to throw this out here, Monovision. I do not have a second confirmation of it. Miller and Condon, a radio program out of Des Moines, Iowa, sports station. The Big Ten football championship game will be played at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas in the near future. Won't be a permanent move away from Indy, but at least a couple of the Vegas title games are coming. The Big Ten college football championship game, conference game, going to be played in Las Vegas along with Indianapolis. Holy smokes. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it should rotate.
Well, it will. It's not a permanent home, so.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, I think it should rotate between like Minneapolis, Indianapolis, and Los Angeles, and maybe one more. That way, every region of the Big Ten. When we get a team in Florida, we can hold it in their stadium too.
Yeah.
Or Georgia, if we get Georgia Tech, we could hold it in Atlanta. But, not shocking, but I think that's the right way to do it.
Wow.
Of course, in my model, you would have conference semifinals.
Yeah.
Hosted at, various sites. So, interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Indianapolis is a pretty popular place to have it in regards for the teams, for the press, the convention center. Everything is connected to Lucas Oil Stadium. It's gotten pretty good high marks, correct? Over the last 10 years. As a Buckeye fan, wouldn't you say it's been a pretty good place to have it?
Well, yeah, but it's like a 3-hour drive for us, Greg.
Well,
we're there quite often, so I mean, for Buckeye fans, it's fantastic. But you got to think of the other people in the conference. Too.
Yep. I'm just saying, I don't know if a Minneapolis is needed when you have Indianapolis. I don't know. I'm just gonna say this: December 7th, the first week in December, the weather in Minneapolis is a little bit different than Indianapolis. I don't know if people would go for that. I know when they had the Super Bowl, people weren't happy. The press wasn't happy. Just throw that out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure Minnesota's cold, but it's not like Indiana's paradise during that time either,
Yeah.
And I mean,
there's a difference. Yeah.
So, I mean, as long as you're in a dome, doesn't matter. But, yeah, it'll be fun to see a game with the Big Ten teams out in Las Vegas. Especially if USC or Washington gets in there.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have a West Coast team versus an East Coast team. But I really wanted to call, and I know I don't bring this topic up enough, but I wanted to talk about Notre Dame.
Okay. Yes. What was their play yesterday?
Yeah. Jack Swarbrick has a lot of nerve to go out here and talk about how much Stanford and Cal should have a home in Division I athletics.
Yeah.
And then try to con the ACC into adding them, but giving the ACC nothing in return for it.
Yes.
If Jack Swarbrick cares so much about Stanford and Cal, he could join the ACC or the Big Ten, and those two schools would be able to come with him, and they would be cared for by the media partners. So goes back, I had a rant on Greg Sankey earlier this week for the same thing. Yeah, it's terrible what happened to those 4 schools, but Greg Sankey could also invite them. The SEC, if he really feels that bad about it, he could invite them to their conference.
Yes.
So, I mean, Notre Dame is just to the point where I think the 4 schools in the ACC are already upset with them. the 4 or 5.
Yeah.
We don't know for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
But now they've got, Cal and Stanford out there, and I know the Big Ten probably wouldn't take Cal and Stanford right away. But you and I both know if Notre Dame said, okay, we'll come, but only if you take Cal or Stanford, and Stanford,
it would be done tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be done tomorrow.
Yeah.
The invitations, they couldn't fax them fast enough to get them in the conference. If they offered the ACC to become full members, it would be a unanimous vote. So just Jack Swarbrick, I know you got 6 more months.
Yeah.
Maybe just shut up for that 6 months.
Yeah.
Because as far as I'm concerned, between you and Greg Sankey, you two individuals are the most responsible for conference realignment. Greg Sankey stood there and smiled to Bob Bowlesby while he was negotiating that CFB along with Jack Swarbrick, and he was getting Oklahoma and Texas out from under him. And if Notre Dame had just joined the Big Ten in 1990 with Penn State, we'd have been at 12. We'd have never taken Nebraska. You'd still have a Big 12 with Oklahoma, Texas, Nebraska, and Missouri. You'd still have an SEC. You'd still have a pack with USC and UCLA. Now, the Big East and ACC might have had to do some merging there, but, all of this goes back to Notre Dame and their belief that they're a snowflake and they have to be treated special because they were independent and they won some titles in the 1960s. And, I'm just sick of it.
Wow.
Just Notre Dame, either do something or don't. But you're right. In 2026, I think the Big Ten should take the stance. If you want to be in the college football playoff, join a conference.
Wow.
There's 4 conferences out there, Notre Dame. Big 12, ACC, SEC, or Big 10. You don't want to join us? That's fine. Pick one of the other 3. Or hit the bricks, because, it's just – I hate the hypocrisy and the crocodile tears from these people when, it's the Big Ten. Oh, the Big Ten did that to the Pac-12. You did that to the Pac-12. You did it to the Big 12 before them. You're doing it to the ACC now. It's you. I'm just trying to keep it family friendly.
Buckeyes throwing elbows at the Irish. Let me say this. Emotions, relationships, personalities, however you want to frame it, that all plays a big part of what's going on here in the landscape, okay? If I'm Florida State, Monavision, and I quite haven't made the decision yet, although I believe they have made the decision on when they're going to pull the trigger, be it 5 days from now or 5 months from now. I'm using that term again. But after this situation where Notre Dame is pushing the vote to add on California, Stanford, if I was the Florida State Seminoles, emotionally, I would be more energized to do the unthinkable and hand in withdrawal notice. And people are probably thinking, Greg, come on, Florida State, this is a business decision. They're not going to let their emotions get away with them like you do, Greg. All that plays a part in it. I don't think what's going on here in the last 24 to 48 hours has helped this situation between the ACC and Florida State. Am I crazy?
No, you're absolutely right. And it hasn't helped the situation between the ACC and Notre Dame. Notre Dame is just out here alienating people. And they want to keep using those excuses that Fielding Yost did something 97 years ago. 97 years ago, that's probably about the last time that Notre Dame was relevant in football. So, they won a title in 1988. Congratulations. Yes, I see that. Notre Dame won a title in 1988. And 2 Big Ten teams have won titles since then. Just shut up. Just shut up, Notre Dame. Stop telling people how to live their life. Stop walking around crying for the poor while you're holding a bag of gold under your arm. If you want Stanford and Cal to find a home in D1, you can make that happen. And you can make that happen without trying to blame the Big Ten or anybody else for conference realignment that you're causing. It's just, I don't know. And Heather Dinich and ESPN pushing this narrative as well, they're just as bad. Just as bad that ESPN is suddenly pushing this narrative about how terrible the Big Ten is for destroying the Pac. ESPN, you did it. You're also responsible. I'm not saying that the Big Ten's not guilty, but you were guilty first, and you were guilty worse. Yeah. So stop pushing the narrative that this is all the Big Ten did this, and oh, how awful this is. Yeah, it sucks for those 4 teams that didn't make it, but you did that, ESPN. You did it. You started this. So I don't know, Greg. It's just when I saw Heather Dinich tweet that thing from Jack Swarbrick earlier, I almost lost it. I was just ranting and raving about how, it's just hypocrisy on the highest level, Greg.
Yeah.
We're all standing here. We all murdered CFB, so don't act like you ain't got your dagger dipped in blood while Caesar's laying there. You did it too, ESPN. You did it, Jack Swarbrick. You did it, Greg Sankey.
We do have a little bit of news here. The Mountain West Commissioner, Gloria Nevarez, says, I don't want to jump in front of the process with Oregon State and Washington State, but we're ready. So Mountain West Conference is ready to take Oregon State and Washington State in once they are ready. So Gloria Nevarez is making that pretty clear this afternoon.
Yeah, I think that's a great home for both of those schools. I mean, that's, it's not a P5, but I think that's the best option for them if they can't make it into the Big 12. Yeah. So good for them. Notre Dame hasn't forgotten all the anti-Catholic bigotry they suffered 97 years ago. Well, at that same point, Notre Dame was segregated. So I guess all the African-American players on their team should hold it against them and not play for them. I mean, if you have to keep bringing back something that happened 97 years ago as your talking point, that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous talking point that you shouldn't have to join a conference because Fielding Yost was anti-Catholic 97 years ago. I mean, I don't know. Greg. I'll get off my soapbox now. Notre Dame just needs to bend the knee. Bend the knee, Greg.
Bend the knee.
Happy anniversary, Greg.
Appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. Thanks for everybody for coming on in. Today, Thursday, August 10th, is our 1-year anniversary. We started this August 10th of 2022. We didn't know how it was going to go. We just did it because people were asking us to do it for a couple years before, and we just didn't have the time. We didn't have the time this year either. But thanks to support from our family and our friends coming and helping us with our parents. We appreciate everybody and the PATC community that have invited us into their homes. You've invited myself into your home to talk about college football, the game that we love, the game that brings us together, the game that we can disagree with each other and still come together at the end of the day. So I appreciate you all for putting up with us here at Peek Around the Corner, for putting up with my singing, and all of my bad plays against the spread, and hanging with us as we go through the Holy Smokes Theater, giving you a peek around the corner when it came to Oregon, Washington, Colorado, and the things that are coming here in the future. We're going to close this show up. Keep your head on a swivel. I wanted to make sure that we did a live show on the 1 year anniversary. So we came on a little early. I wanted to get it done. But keep your head on a swivel. Later on today, today could be a very interesting day. I'll take you back to Dennis Dodd's tweet. I did not write this tweet, but I could have. Sources: California, Stanford to the ACC looks unlikely at this time. Me, remember where we were a week ago at this moment? Conclusion: stay tuned. And I have to agree with Mr. Dodd. Stay tuned. Buckle up. Brace for impact. Stay close to PATC. Thank you so much for joining us on our 1 year anniversary of this show. It's become a love of mine. My first love is my creator, my wife, my family, college football, but the PATC community. You're right there with us. So I appreciate all of you. Until next time, from PATC, from Peek Around the Corner, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.